The twinkling string lights sparkled overhead, their soft radiance mirrored in the pristine champagne flutes. I positioned myself on the modest engagement platform, my fingers trembling, around a microphone that now seemed unbearably weighty. Each table throughout the venue was perfectly prepared with flickering candles, carefully placed roses, and place cards scripted in flawless cursive. Yet, not one attendee occupied the seats. Before we start, leave a comment letting us know where you're from and which city you're tuning in from for our videos. And once you've viewed the entire thing, share in the comments what you'd do in this spot. Be genuine. Let me know below. We go through every single comment. Let's get started. Stunning, right? Mom's voice floated up from the first row. Icy sleek, biting. She didn't even try to conceal her sneer. All of this for nobody. Perhaps that's a sign for you, Lily. I fought back the burn in my eyes. Folks are likely en route. Traffic issues. Oh, stop humiliating yourself. She interrupted. Did you truly believe anyone would turn up for your engagement? Come on, you're not that significant. Her chuckle, airy, vicious, reverberated through the empty expanse. My dad kept his gaze on his phone. My sister lounged by the column, murmuring something that sparked her giggle. Too. It all seemed like a scripted act designed to shame me. I glanced at the ring on my finger. Plain silver. A vow I'd once thought held real value. My fiancé. Andrew was meant to arrive 20 minutes back, perhaps more. My chest constricted. Mom moved nearer, her fragrance heavy and cloying, veiling the poison in her words. Admit it, Lily. You've forever been the second thought. Even your fiancé likely figured out what everyone else already understands, that he deserves better. The phrases stuck like shards in my throat. I retreated a step, clutching the mic. My palms were icy. My tone came out, quieter than intended, yet firm. You don't get to decide my value, Mom. Not this evening. Her eyebrows lifted, entertained. Value? Darling, value is what packs the chairs. The venue felt quiet once more. Just the drone of the AC hummed through the area, and then a low growl rumbled. From beyond, motors, not one, not two, a convoy of them. The tremor pulsed through the stone floor, rattling the flutes at every table. Attendees swiveled toward the paired doors. Mom scowled, baffled. What's that noise? She muttered. Beams from headlights pierced the glass. Entry as the roar intensified. My pulse raced. Then the doors flew open. Not a single one, but both, flung apart by men in dark suits. A fleet of SUVs stretched along the drive outside. Guards entered first, their earpieces catching the chandelier glow. Then the attendees streamed in, one by one. Men in custom suits, women in graceful dresses, all striding with the sort of assurance that diminished the space. Gas swept the venue, and then he entered. Andrew not in the relaxed gray suit from last week, but in a sleek black tuxedo that screamed significance. Someone inaccessible. Behind him, additional vehicles rolled up, and even I went still when I spotted who emerged. Municipal leaders. 2 TV hosts. The head of Donovan Holdings, Andrew's dad. Mom's complexion paled. Wait, that Donovan? She hissed. Andrew covered the distance to me in 3 purposeful steps. He eased the mic from my quivering grip, his tone even and assured. Apologies for the delay, he stated, his eyes scanning the shocked crowd. We had to hold for the convoy to clear the primary route. Mom's mouth dropped. Andrew regarded her. Not harsh, simply factual. Mrs. Carter, I informed. Lily, we aim to keep it low-key tonight, but my relatives demanded publicity. They never do intimate gatherings. The stillness was overwhelming. He faced me, his voice gentling. You, set to launch the true engagement now. And in that instant, rooted in the same venue that had felt like a prison. Moments before, I grasped that I wasn't the one deserving pity. The atmosphere in that venue crackled with energy like the instant before lightning strikes. Every Chandelier gleamed brighter. Every gaze, locked on Andrew as if invoking Donovan had, transformed the evening itself. Just before I was a neglected girl on a vacant platform. Now my name buzzed. Behind polished hands. Mom remained rooted by the front table. Her champagne flute quivering faintly. You're a Donovan, she stuttered, the syllables snagging in her throat like denial clinging tight. Andrew offered a courteous dip of his head. Andrew Donovan. Correct. My relatives couldn't join sooner due to protection hurdles, but we refused to let Lily feel isolated tonight. That one phrase, we didn't want Lily to feel isolated, was a subtle tremor. My mother's sneer vanished. My father at last lifted his eyes from his phone. My sister let her smug grin slip, her gaze flicking to me with near terror. Guards flanked the entrance and further attendees entered. Each resembled a magazine cover star. Influential, composed, inapproachable. They bypassed my family. They headed right to me. Miss Carter, a gentleman said kindly, clasping my hand. We've heard endless praise about you. Andrew mentions you nonstop. I blinked, dazed. He does. Andrew grinned beside me, perhaps excessively. My mother's voice sliced the air like a lash. You could have revealed your family's status, she barked, squeezing out a fragile chuckle. We'd have organized fittingly. Andrew pivoted. To her, courteous yet pointed. Mrs. Carter, had I disclosed it, this would have turned into a corporate affair, not a festivity. Lily didn't require setup. She required authenticity. The force of his statement lingered thickly. My mother's mouth tightened to a line. My father coughed and attempted to rise imposingly as if seizing authority. Well, Andrew, he uttered rigidly, you ought to have allowed us to manage the invites. Evidently there was some mix-up. I surveyed the venue. Every table once bare, now occupied by attendees not summoned by my family, but by Andrew's, and somehow that sweetened it. Mix-up. Andrew's tone stayed serene, but his stare sliced keen. You mean Lily's own engagement gathering having 0 attendees? That variety of mix-up? My father recoiled, unprepared. It's not as you assume. I assume, Andrew replied levelly. It's precisely as I assume. But no matter. I arrived equipped. He signaled to a guard. In moments, crew started rolling in a fresh array of catering trolleys, flower displays, and refined gift crates marked with a silver D. The air brimmed with the aroma of crisp white lilies, my cherished bloom. My mother muttered beneath her breath, this can't be real. Oh, but it was. One of Andrew's colleagues neared the platform with a microphone and beamed. Ladies and gentlemen, he proclaimed, thanks for coming on brief notice. We're privileged to honor the engagement of Mr. Andrew Donovan and Miss Lily Carter. Cheers exploded. Authentic cheers this time. My throat constricted. The very platform that had shamed me now glowed with radiance and melody. Andrew extended his hand. Come along, he murmured. You merit your spotlight. I accepted. As we ascended the platform, my heart thumped against my ribs. But for the first time it wasn't dread. The lights shone golden. Cameras snapped. Attendees roared. Andrew circled an arm lightly around my waist. Deferential. Solid. As if underscoring that this instant wasn't about dominance. It was about visibility. Ladies and gentlemen, he declared into the mic, his voice solid and poised. Tonight's festivity isn't about riches, rank, or surnames. It's about honoring someone ignored far too often. Someone who's shown me more about resilience than anyone in my realm of meetings ever could. My mother's face fractured like fine china. He turned to me, voice warming. When I met Lily, she juggled 2 jobs, aiding others beyond herself, and still beaming as if she'd mastered life. And I knew instantly she wasn't merely someone I wished to wed. She was someone I wished to shield because she didn't even grasp her own might. A quiet swept the venue. The feeling snagged in my chest like flames. I blinked, swiftly striving for poise. But when I eyed my parents, I caught their glances, shifting between each other, remorse, blending with incredulity. Mom forced a laugh, frantic to regain composure. Oh, well, that's our Lily for you. Always startling us. Andrew didn't spare her a look. I'm sure she has, he said, then faced me, set for the surprise. My brows knit. What? Surprise? He snapped his fingers. The light softened and a huge LED display lit up behind us. A brief film rolled, displaying images and snippets of me aiding at local drives, coordinating rural charity occasions, and laboring late on my creative pieces. Andrew had covertly captured every deed I'd done instance. I figured no one spotted. Tears pricked my eyes. He bent near enough. For just me, I instructed my press. Crew the world should witness the woman I'm wedding, not the version others tried to diminish. The film closed with a static image, me passing food to a young girl outside a local shelter. The text below read, "The Heart of Donovan." Holdings. Cheers burst forth again. Cameras snapped. My mother stood, rigidly, fingers gripped too firm to mask her quiver. My father's complexion blanched. My sister gaped at the display, lips parted slightly. Andrew lifted my hand to his lips and brushed it softly. Now they all understand, he breathed. Who you are and who they never should have. Undervalued. The assembly surged into a standing ovation. I gazed at the ocean of faces, and in the front row my mother stood, mute, robbed of every phrase she'd ever wielded to diminish me. She had once claimed no one would appear for me, but tonight a whole realm had, and this time she couldn't dismiss it. With laughter, the cheers thundered through the venue like a surge. For an instant I just stood immersed, not from the noise, but because I knew each clap proved I hadn't fabricated my value. Andrew pressed my hand softly, anchoring me to the present, but not. Everyone clapped. My mother's rigid smile quivered at the corners. Her knuckles whitened around her champagne flute. My father's phone hung low. Now, his executive poise shattered. My sister feigned adjusting her lipstick, but her eyes stayed on me. They seared with something keen and bitter. Andrew dipped slightly. You still wish to remain? I drew a breath. No, but I'm not exiting first. He grinned, beaming with pride. Solid reply. The media lights blinked from the room's rear. Photographers, cued by the arch, seizing the instant like it, was destined for next day's front pages. The once vacant tables brimmed with influential figures, toasting, murmuring my name like lifelong acquaintances. That's when Mom finally neared. Her heels tapped the stone. Her expression shaped into a flawless social grin, the type she flashed when seeking gain. Darling, she cooed gently, her tone abruptly saturated in sweetness. Can we chat just a second? I glanced at Andrew. He offered a subtle nod and moved back, though. His gaze lingered on me like quiet protection. Mom's voice fell to a hush. Hear me out about what I said before. You know my stress makes me sharp. I didn't intend to imply you weren't vital. I asked softly. Her grin wavered. Lily, I didn't grasp who Andrew truly is. There it was, the reality exposed in 7 words. My chest throbbed, but not from pain, any more from insight. So if he weren't a Donovan, I'd still be rooted on that platform alone while you mocked me. Mom blinked fast, the tears she summoned now glinting under the lights. I just thought, what's ideal for you? No, I said, my voice firm and edged. You sought what appeared ideal for you. She breathed unsteadily. Lily, please. Eyes are on us. Good, I said, holding her gaze, unwavering. Let them. For the first time, she appeared diminished. The woman, who'd always loomed over me with critique, now stood exposed and trapped by her own image in the glass panels. The melody eased as Andrew returned, his arms encircling my shoulders protectively. All good? He inquired. Mom attempted another smile. Her voice shaky. Naturally, just say. Bit overcome by it all. You two staged quite the spectacle tonight. Andrew's face stayed neutral. It's not a spectacle, Mrs. Carter. It's what Lily merits, what she's always merited. She bobbed her head fast, eyes shifting aside. Naturally, but I spotted the glint of something more. Mortification, perhaps. Even remorse. For once, she lacked dominance. The assembly started chanting our names. Andrew eyed me, gaze affectionate. One dance. I nodded and he guided me onto the floor. The music rose, cameras snapped, and as we twirled under the lights, I caught my image in the ballroom mirror. No longer the subdued girl craving approval, but someone who at last knew her own strength. Across the space, my mother sank into her seat slowly, her hands folded, complexion ashen. My father bed near her, murmuring something, but she stayed still. She just stared at the platform like she couldn't identify her own daughter anymore. And maybe that was the essence, because the girl who once stood solitary, awaiting others to affirm her, she had vanished. What lingered was a woman who didn't require their affirmation, their company, or their cheers to thrive. And for the first time in my life, I smiled, not because I was disproving them, but because I no longer had to. When I awoke the next morning, the first sight was sunlight flooding the stone floor of Andrew's penthouse. Serene, cozy, untroubled. My phone vibrated endlessly on the bedside table. Missed calls, texts, mentions. My name blanketed everything. Lily Carter, the woman who captured the city's soul. The rise of an engagement that stunned all. And my top pick, the barren gathering that became a legend. Andrew lingered by the window, speaking quietly on his phone. His image in the glass embodied the man the world now recognized. Composed, commanding, yet holy. Devoted to me. When he ended the call, he smiled. You're topping trends on half the nation's news pages. I chuckled softly. That's quite the morning kickoff. He drew near, tucking a lock of hair from my face. You managed last night flawlessly. I've never witnessed anyone claim their stance so fiercely. I looked up at him. I wasn't claiming stance, Andrew. I was reclaiming it. He grinned, pride sparking in his eyes. And you did. But my phone buzzed once more. Mom, then Dad, then Sophie, my sister. I stared at the display a beat, the sting of old scars trying to resurface before I placed it down. Andrew tilted his head. You're skipping the replies? No, I said gently. Not yet. Some quiet moments deserve preserving. A tap sounded at the door. One of Andrew's aides entered, holding a slim black envelope. From the Donovan Foundation, she stated courteously. It's for Miss Carter. Inside lay a note on heavy white paper and a key to our future daughter-in-law. The community center you volunteered at will. Now run under the Carter Initiative. Fully supported forever. View it as a present for the kindness you've shared with this city. My breath hitched. They named it after me. Andrew nodded, smiling. Dad's notion. He said true might isn't about heritage. It's about empathy. You've got both. Tears clouded my sight before I could halt them. I don't even know how to respond. Say nothing, he breathed. Just keep shining as you. Later, that afternoon we headed to my parents' home. Andrew proposed it. Tenderly. Closure, he noted, and I knew he was spot on. The estate seemed tinier, then recalled, stripped of the sway it once wielded over me. Mom swung the door open before we knocked. Her features were weary, her eyes reddened. Lily, she sighed, like uttering my name might erase her past deeds. Dad loomed behind, mute. My sister peeked from the corridor, acting uninterested. I caught the coverage, Mom said. Gently. You were remarkable last night. I nodded courteously. Thanks. She paused, wringing her hands. I just, I wanted to say I'm sorry for it all, for how I addressed you, for missing who you truly are. Her voice broke, and for the first time it rang genuine, not scripted, not buff, just bare. I held my response. The quiet extended. Between us, the sort that once terrified me, but now it felt shifted. It felt potent. I value that, I said. At last. But I don't need your sight anymore. I already have it. Her eyes welled, and she nodded gradually. As we turned to go, she murmured, "You've truly transformed, Lily." I glanced back once. No, Mom. I just stopped trusting you when you claimed I couldn't. The door shut behind me, and the burden of years dissolved with it. Back in the car, Andrew reached across, his hand meeting mine. The city sprawled ahead, vivid, vibrant, brimming with clamor. Somewhere behind me, my past stayed hushed for the first time. I smiled. You know what's amusing? What? He queried. That barren venue was the finest thing that ever befell me. Andrew laughed, because it revealed to all who you truly are. I shook my head because it revealed to me, and as the skyline blazed against the afternoon sun, I grasped I didn't need a throng or cheers or even retribution. I just needed that instant when the world finally ceased undervaluing me, and that instant had already